Alright, what's good, everybody, man? It's your boy Brady Sr., man, giving you the OMFL news after dark. And let me tell you, ooh, there's some stuff going on in the world. The new saying is the vanilla ISIS was on attack. But let's keep it straight gaming. Man, there's a lot of drama going on in the league with the new sliders, the new settings. Oh man, we gonna dive right in. I might have to get in my Pat McAfee mode tonight, bruh. Woo! We'll be right back after this, man. Yeah. What's good, everybody, man? It's your boy Brady Sr. Give me the OMFL news after dark, man. This is what it sounds like in the chat right now. This is what it sounds like in the chat. Oh man, these boys going off, man. Let me tell you, going off. But anyway, man, you know, it's another week in the OMFL news after dark, man. And yeah, man, we had a draft show, you know, and we've already kind of kicked off the season off right. And yeah, man, we gonna get see if I can get over here to my daddy leagues real quick and kind of talk to you guys about some of the goings on in the league real quick. See if it'll load for me. Maybe. But man, anyway, how's everybody doing this evening? As you know, man, it's after dark time, bro. And yeah. So let's see. All right, so yeah, we got daddy leagues up, and let's look at maybe load for me. Man, I'm having, Nate technical difficulties over here, bro. Like, what's going on? All right, there we go. So, player of the week last week goes to Terry McLaurin. 8 catches, 113 yards, 3 TDs. He was the offensive player of the week for the Washington football team. And then defensively was Daniel Hunter. Daniel Hunter, he had 7 tackles, 2 sacks versus them Jags where they blanketed us. But yeah, man. Let me know in the comments, man, what you think going on about all this stuff going on in the world, man. Without getting too political, because I know somebody gotta, think this shit's not. That's just me that think this shit is crazy. But other than that, man, we'll be right back after this, man. We're gonna talk about power rankings. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's your boy Brady Sr., man, giving you the OMFL news after dark, man. It's another week. And boy, just when you thought the Capitol was having problems, boy, the chat has been going off. I think Nate has walked out of a press conference. Hey, boy, shit getting real in the field. But anyway, man, let's talk about these comp sliders, bruh. Not everybody is having fun. There's a lot of chat, a lot of texting, but hey, everybody getting their ranks up right now. But a lot of talk going on in the chat about the settings or whatever. And currently we have a couple teams double digits when it comes to interceptions. 13 for the Vikings, 11 for the Panthers. But then, of course, it's not as bad as you trickle on down the road. But, yeah, man. So, I mean, turnover-wise, there's some bad stuff going on. But, I mean, come on, man. It is what it is, But let's look at these injuries real quick. We're going to roll over here and check out these injuries real quick and see what kind of injuries is popping off. Because now that, you're getting slashed right now. Just letting you know. Some rosters are getting gutted. But right now, I got a player out for 4 weeks. Middle linebacker. Looks like... right now, that look like that might be it right now. So it looks like, Ruggs is out for 2. And then you have Waller. Raiders got 2 people out, 2 weeks, 5 weeks. Looks like the Saints got their star O-lineman. He's out 5. Another O-lineman, Blythe, out there in Seattle's out 6. So, some teams are getting hit with the bug already. Offensive line is getting hit with injuries. 2 weeks out there in Tennessee. What was that? I think the Bengals got an injury on the defensive end. But, hey, what you gonna do, man? Chargers, like I said, Chargers got them an injury. Dolphins got an injury. Falcons got 2. Niners got 1. So, quite a few teams with injuries. But, I mean... I'm not about to ask you, tell me what you think about the sliders, man. The only thing I can tell you is, man, bro, just test it out, figure it out, and move on. Peace. Yo, welcome back to the OMFL News After Dark, y'all. It's your boy Brady Senior, man. We're gonna go through some offensive statistical leaders real quick. Just kind of run through a little something after my last rant. Try and get through this pretty quick. Derek Holcomb is the quarterback leader right now, and actually it's a 2-way tie. Holcomb and Burrow are tied at 502 yards. But it looks like Holcomb, he's been hit 12 times already, 6 interceptions, 3 TDs. But I mean, 8.8 average on each throw versus Burrow's 8.1. Burrow has 1 TD, 5 interceptions, and a sack for him. And then, of course, over in the rushes side, Ezekiel Elliott leads all rushers with 174, 23 attempts, 7.6 yard average. Looks like his longest 48. He's got 2 20-yard runs, 7 broken tackles, and 1 TD. Then, of course, over in the receiver side, man, you have Devontae Adams, 14 catches, 298, 21.3 average, 57 long, 1 drop, 76 yaggity yaks. And then, of course, he's got 2 TDs on the year. So that's the offensive side, man. I'll be right back, man. We're going to talk about this defensive side. We'll keep this same beat going. Yeah. Hey, man, I know if you made it this far and you've been listening to me rant, apologies, fam. But these sliders got these boys talking. But, man, hey, it's your boy Brady Senior, man, giving you the news every week right before the Press Pass Live, hosted by the man, Nate. And then, of course, man, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and damn sure hit the share on all your social media platforms so we get more eyes on the league, man. GrownFolks community has a lot of great leagues. OMFL is, I say the top of it all. But, of course, you got the Deuce, ATG, you have the TFL, and the NBC. And then, of course, man, when you're on the website, man, check out some of our, our partners, especially out there at the Soap and Bowl. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, we'll be right back after this, man, and we'll get on over to the Press Pass Live. Hey, what's good, everybody, man? Like I said, man, we're going to keep the same damn beat. I told you we was going to keep the beat. But, hey, welcome back, man. It's your boy, Brady Sr. And we still talking about this, the defense. We're going to still talk about statistical leaders. And right now we on the defensive side of the ball. And right off top, man, we have a two-way tie between Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa at 5 sacks. And then moving on over, and it's actually San Francisco is on deck. They had 2 up there, boy. I bet you that's heli over there. But other than that, man, it's a 4-way tie on the tackle leaders. You have Jamil Dean, Tampa. You have Blake Cashman, Jets. You have Alex Highsmith, Pittsburgh. And then you have Colton Driver, Houston. Those 4 lead all tacklers with 10. And then last but not least, you have, it looks like Grady. It looks like Grady. I don't know what happened to my music, but yeah, Greedy Williams. Looks like Greedy, Ronnie Harrison, Jeremy Chin, Gil Betts, Desmond Trufant. All are tied at 3 with 3 interceptions so far on the season. And I know my boy Jamerson is just right on their heels with 2, so don't worry, man. But other than that, that's our statistical leaders for right now, and then we'll, get over to some standings, man, and kind of look at how some of these divisions is looking so far. A lot of blowouts already this season after week 1, but hey, we'll be right back. Peace. All right, man, welcome back to the OMFL News After Dark, man. It's your boy, Brady Sr. Man, I was going to talk about some standings, but I mean, it's a little too early for the standings. It's a little too early. You know what I mean? The only thing we can talk about is those that are undefeated, and it's, excuse me, it's, nah, we ain't even going to do that. But let's get over here and let's look at some of the good games that went, that popped off in week 1. Trying to see if I can find one. We got a 3-point win there. Ooh, let's talk about the Texans and the Chargers here. Where you had Texans and the Chargers final out at a 33-31 in favor of the Texans. They were able to squeak out the dub on a surging Chargers squad. Looks like it was 24-10 at half. Then it was a 21-9 second half, and Houston just did enough to just hang on with that dub. But 494 to 348 total yards gained, and that's Chargers over the Texans. But the real number, man, that separated it all was the 3 turnovers. 3 turnovers, man. And then, of course, penalties. Yeah, nobody had any penalties. Time of possession was fairly close in favor of the Chargers. But at the end of the day, man, yeah, pretty decent game, 33-31. Looks like conversion-wise, we had 5 to 3 third down conversions, no 4th downs. But yeah, turnovers look like it was the difference, man. But you know what, man? We're going to go ahead and send this bad boy over to GrownFolks, Nate. Because I know I'm ready to hear what this man got to say about the chat, boy. Sit back, relax, man. Get your popcorn ready, motherfuckers. Because he about to light it up, bruh. I'm telling you. If you ain't ready for it, you might want to be ready for it, because this boy about to let y'all know. Hey, at the end of the day, man, play your games, play within the rules. Hey, because before you know, bro, man, they might just open this bad boy up to just, anything go, bro. Open this bad boy up to where it's just a regular old switch lead. Y'all ain't ready for that smoke, I'm telling you. But anyway, man, peace, love, and motherfucking hair grease. I'm out, man.
This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Nate. Here's another OMFL production.
All right, what's up, guys? I was a little late on the trigger there, my bad. It is cold as all get out here in southern Louisiana, which is probably pretty warm for most of you since you're used to pretty cold weather. But I hope this finds everybody doing really well. Looks like we've got a pretty low crew here tonight. I was a little early on, let me turn this down real quick, sorry. This is real loud. I'm gonna come back to about half. There we go. That's what I need. I think a lot of people are watching the game, even though it sounded like a big play just happened for maybe the Browns that put that game away. So I hope that you've enjoyed some football this weekend. And wild card, what are they calling it? Super wild card weekend is now over, or should be over pretty soon. And we're going to be off into the divisional round. But you guys aren't here to talk about NFL football. You're going to hear to talk about the OMFL. And so that's what we're going to get into. I don't know if we're ready for this. I don't know if I'm ready for this. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. All right, we are here in week number 3 of season 94. And it has been one of the roughest seasons that we've ever had in the OMFL. It's just been tough. And so I'm going to try to keep this, in a good space. 22. Holy cow. No, Bloop, I could not deal with 22. That would not be a thing in my life ever. I don't think I could ever handle that. So, anyway, like I was saying, I'm going to start kind of at the beginning of what started this process again, and I'll try to keep it sharp so I don't rehash a bunch of stuff that you guys have already heard me said, and then I'll kind of explain where we have gotten, and I think to do that is just to kind of start with some things that I think are clear to me, at least my point of view, and that's all I can do is share my point of view on these shows that I get to do, is that I think Madden this year probably started last year, but really this year has continued to garden. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word I'm looking for. They begin to create a game that goes after just the regular young kid or person who doesn't play this game a lot. It's not aimed at us. It's not aimed at older adults who play this game either for competitive or for a league for fun like we do here. This is geared for the MUT crowd. The people are going to spend a lot of money on this, and it's geared for just like the random kids that are going to get this for Christmas or at drop or when the NFL season starts, play it for a couple of hours and then move on to their next game, because it's just that turnaround, right? They're making a lot of money on MUT. They're making money on just flipping games. That's just my perspective, but I think it's pretty clear because of how they went with the one button stuff. They went with the rookie mode, the sim mode, not the rookie mode, I'm sorry, the arcade mode, sim mode, comp mode, including the levels of rookie, was it rookie, all pro, all Madden? I feel like I'm forgetting one, but maybe not. Those types of things start to tell us that the game is going after a different crowd than what we are. And so we have to try to create the best version of this game that we have. But I think the problem that's been created is that the gap between skilled players has grown. And so instead of shortening that gap, it's actually grown. And so there's players who really enjoy lots of skill, lots of user, lots of clicking, lots of like play manipulation, and those guys go play like all pro, comp mode, whatever, right? They're like the top of the top guys that are super into comp. And there's most of us who just do this for fun, and we kind of want a little bit easier of a game, and then there's kind of a few people that fall in between, right? And so I think the problem is those guys at the very tippy top, those guys that are extremely good at this game, and the guys who are kind of in between somewhere. What those two people enjoy from a game perspective are two completely different experiences. And that gap, this is the first Madden I've ever noticed how wide that gap is. And here in the OMFL, it's pretty wide. I can't speak to other leagues. I know a lot of people try to tell me what goes on in the Deuce or the TFL, the NBC, or whatever other 100 leagues that people play in. But I take it with a grain of salt because the OMFL is the only thing I play in, and it's a slightly different beast through my perspective. Probably for a lot of you it's not, but from my perspective it's hard to remove myself from 20 years of what I put into this league. And so this has been the first Madden that I've noticed that gap is so wide, and what the top tier players here, or what we call top tier players, right? The players who win a lot of games, the D-Moneys, the Moes, the D-Waynes, right? Like the guys who win pretty often more than not, what they consider an enjoyable experience and what a vast majority of us consider are different. And then I think there's even another tier here that maybe doesn't win a lot. They're just here for the connections, the friendships, the team building, and they're kind of like me most of the time. They're like an 8-8 or below team. I find that that's even another level of what people enjoy. So that's kind of the basis of where I'm starting this. And I'll also say that chat got real personal this weekend. And I don't love that word because people say that, or I've heard that said to me online a lot. I say a lot. That's probably not fair either. I've heard a handful of guys that don't agree with me tell me I take things personal. And I think we use that as like a label to give somebody as like a character flaw that they have. Like you're supposed to remove yourself from emotions and feelings and look at things black and white. I don't believe that stuff. And so I believe, number one, I don't know that anything's personal, at least in the way that the lens that we have here in the OMFL and online gaming. I think people are passionate, and because it's online, there is, I don't love this word either, but there is this removal of respect. And I don't love that word respect because that word can mean a ton of different things to a ton of different people. But I would say it removes like an element of common courtesy and human courtesy and like just being nice to people and how we frame things, because things get lost in translation. People don't want to type out long messages that are maybe nicer. We're living a generation that wants to not spell any words out all the way, and And so all these things play a factor into messages being lost in translation. Like what's trying to be said is not being said for a variety of different reasons. And then you're not in control of what happens on the other side of the computer, the camera, or any of that, right? Whatever you say comes off without any emotions, without any feelings, even if you put them in there. How they're received, though, is going to be received how that person is kind of viewing their day or viewing their life in that moment or viewing that season of life. So I'm not trying to get super philosophical, but I think all of those things play to why chat kind of got uneasy, I guess. I don't know that it got ugly, but I think people got really passionate. And I'm number one. I probably got the most passionate. And that's because I have 20 years into this place. And people probably sick of me saying that, but it's true. I've got 20 years of work into this place. I've got 20 years of energy, effort, and I work really, really hard to give a fun experience. And when people aren't having a fun experience, I feel like I got to work twice as hard. And then on top of that, when people are ugly about the not fun experience they're having, man, it sucks and it's hard to deal with. So I think that's why a lot of what has happened over the last probably couple of weeks, but really kind of boiled over twice over the last 4 or 5 days in chat. And chat hasn't been really a super nice place to be recently. And that's something that I hope can change moving forward. So, quick history. I was approached by Maniac, Trey, Big Hurt, and I think there was another name dropped in there that didn't approach me, but they were like, we were talking about this, we didn't want to bring it to you, but it was at the end of last season, we're bringing it to you. The game doesn't play consistent on simulation. And the more that I researched it, the more I found out that it's on purpose, right? They interject a bunch of randomness because they think that simulates what you see on Sunday. Kind of like what we've seen tonight with the Browns and Steelers, right? That big 35-10 lead or whatever it was going into halftime, right? That like out of nowhere randomness. But the problem is that in the NFL, that happens few and far between. And in Madden, it happens almost like every other play, it feels like. And your team is a different team from drive to drive, quarter to quarter, game to game. And it's really hard to build a team or build consistency or play calling or really build your skill when the game is just kind of up and down and all over the place. And so I immediately shot it down. You can ask Trey. I probably wasn't super nice about it either because I don't know. I try to be nice, but some of those things I was like, I don't like that idea at all. Hold on 1 second. I got me fix something. Come back up. Why won't it let me move it? Well, yeah, I'll fix it later. Shot it down immediately. He said, listen, just read this stuff. Just think about it. Then Maniac comes, says, we want to do this too. We're thinking about it. Would you test it? Here's the reasons why. And then Big Hurt kind of sent his reasons. And so I tried it. I did my research. I kind of liked what I was reading, and I said, let's give it a shot. Let's put it in, and let's give it a shot. And then I played some games, and it was a fun experience. I really enjoyed it. I was worried about injuries and penalties, kind of got our answer on penalties. They're few and far between, but we got our answer on injuries that you could actually have them. And I was really enjoying it. It felt faster. It felt more consistent. You kind of knew that if your team had a weak offensive line, you could get the ball out quick, or you knew what was coming because of how your team was, and so you kind of knew how to play. And I played like 5 or 6 of them, and they all felt the same, depending on the consistency was the same, and it just felt the game took a flow and a feel for whatever team you had. And so depending on what team that I was using, it would depend on how good or bad I was playing, because it depended on my tools that I had, right? And so then I just kind of made the decision, we got to give this a shot. Let's put it in the test league, get some other people to test. And the initial feedback was really good. One last step that I kind of left out was we tried all Madden, all pro and all Madden when the game first dropped. Going back to what I was saying earlier, this is the point I forgot to make there, was that those differences between rookie, all pro, and all Madden. I think it's rookie, pro, all Madden. I don't know. It's been so long since I've played anything but all pro and all Madden. The all pro just it felt easy. It just felt like you could kind of do whatever you wanted with any player that you wanted. And like, as long as you had your timing down, you were good. And so that's why we decided to go all Madden. It needs to be harder. There needs to be some strategy. There needs to be some team building. You shouldn't be able to just do anything with anybody. That was our decision. Again, I know every league's different. We have a league commissioner here that I respect a lot in Bloop. They do what they got to do for their league. This was just our league. This was our decision as a board that we made. Fast forward to where we are now. We go comp mode. I immediately plug in all Madden because that's what we've been playing. We've been playing all Madden in sim football, and so it was just like that was the natural progression. Let's go try all Madden because, again, all pro was easy. And so all Madden felt really good. It was a different type of game. It felt super realistic. And once we moved it to the real franchise, which was the first 2 weeks of this season, you can see here in the stats, it didn't come out so well, right? Because you had to make real reads. You had to go through real progressions. And you can even see right here, Patrick Mahomes, this guy was a 30-9 guy at one point last season, 8-5, 6-7, all these interception numbers, except for Dak Prescott and the New York Giants. He's having, Moses playing out of his mind right now. You can see here a lot of super high numbers. And I'll be the first to admit, it's hard. It's too hard. And so I started to dumb them down between test and week 1 and then week 1 to week 2. These numbers continued to just kind of skyrocket. The rest of the numbers didn't look super terrible. If you look at percentage, it made guys kind of slow down and start to really read their reads. These are good percentages. You got a handful of low ones in here. But like overall, these are not bad percentage numbers. And then you look at the rushing numbers, they're not terrible. These are in the, you got a couple of guys that are really, really good at running the football, right? But most of these numbers are fairly like normal to what you would see in the NFL. And it felt like it was kind of working. Receiving numbers, I kind of throw the first one out. We'll talk about that one in just a little bit. But you'll see nothing, to me, super duper crazy, right? These guys are all about the same. And then when you look at defense, you'll see the interception numbers are pretty high. The sacks numbers started to go up, but I like that these are like stud defensive ends and defensive linemen, right, that are up there. We're not seeing anything crazy with linebackers or anything. We just see the interception numbers are really high. I think I could be wrong on this, but I think NFL leaders at the end of the seasons are what, 8, 7 to 10, like somewhere in that range. So anyway, numbers were super high. And that's, this is the one. Again, I'm trying to, how do I say these things? Because I'm not taking shots at anybody. I don't have time to be petty. If I got a problem, I'll tell you I got a problem. Ask Maniac, ask Rob, ask Penguins. Like, we've had conversations when I feel like a certain something's going on and I want to talk about it. So I'm not trying to take shots at anybody. But I took the leap with people having my back. And I felt like, outside of Rob, I felt pretty out there alone, taking all of these bullets that people were shooting. And here's the funny part, is the people who enjoyed it didn't really say too much. I've gotten messages from a few owners that really liked Comp All Madden. They liked the challenge of it. We've seen D-Money. I don't know if he's playing all his games. I don't know who plays or doesn't play, but You've seen D-Money lose some games. You've seen 00 win some games. There's been some really interesting games and some owners that have really had to focus and change their game plan. But again, interception numbers are too high. And I just didn't feel like people were going to give us the time to keep lowering those numbers. And they were getting pretty out of whack. I mean, I think week 2, they were played on 40 on reaction and coverage. And so like the next step would be like 30 on reaction and coverage. And you start to get too far from 50, you open yourself up. I got a bug, like a big mosquito flying around my lights right now. Anyway, so my decision, hearing people's feedback, hearing people who didn't want a hard game, and I get it, and I said this in my message, I get that this is not a full-time job. We are not NFL quarterbacks. We are not NFL coordinators. Some of you play in 50 leagues. You want plug-and-play, easy gameplay where I can just get there and not have to strategize and just kind of wing it, right? Some of you I'm never going to make happy. I just kind of know that. But my idea of trying to challenge the upper echelon of this league and give the bottom guys an opportunity to grow their skills was shot down pretty quickly. So I moved us to All Pro. And the thought behind that is that All Pro is going to be easier. And so maybe it takes the intensity out of what we didn't like about All Madden. But comp mode keeps the consistency of what we want, right? That consistency of how the game's going to play, players playing their ratings, no weirdness or randomness. Bloop, I'm starting to wonder if you don't like everything though. Like I know that there were some things you don't like, but lately it seems like you say you like it all, and that doesn't help. I don't know what direction to go with that. But anyway, so right now we're on All Pro. And here's the other thing that I've seen. I know it's common. I've heard rumblings. I've seen your messages. I get it. You don't like the injuries. Here's what I found. And somebody could probably prove me wrong in this. But the higher the injury slider, the more injuries you get. And sometimes it's a little, you're like, oh my God, like this is like 8 players so far this game. But they're shorter term injuries. And I find the lower that you lower that slider, you get less of the lots of injuries, like the multiple injuries in one game, but you get only like long-term injuries, like lots of big injuries. Instead of the higher the slider, you get a lot of injuries that are just like a couple plays, a drive, the game. You get a handful of long-term, but it's mostly like in the game, in the moment. Whereas the lower that slider, you don't get a lot of the in-game in the moment, but you get a lot of the long-term. I like injuries. I just always will. And I think that a couple of things. Guys don't come here to play with backups. Guys want to play with the team that they built. But someone said something to me this weekend that bothered me. They were like, I built my team to fit the sliders in depth, and now you've changed it and you've jacked up my team, and I ain't got no cap and blah, 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 whatever the rest of the message was. That bothered me because we should have to build in depth. And if you build a superstar team without a lot of depth and you get a bunch of injuries, it should hurt your team. It should bother you. And so 20 is what it's been on. And tonight I lowered it to 18. 17, I think, is where we were last season. And you've seen a couple. The numbers are super low. You can go look at it right now. Even on 20, I think our numbers are super low. There's a couple teams that are taking it on the chin. But like overall, it's not bad. I've got 2, and these suck. I'm not going to lie. Like, these freaking suck. Seahawks have 1, Steelers none, Texas none. Titans have 2. These suck. These are starting offensive linemen. Vikings none, Bears none, Bengals have 1. I don't know if he's a starter, but he's a low-end starter. Bills none, Broncos none, Browns none, Bucks none, Cards none. Chargers have 2. One of those looks like it really sucks. Chiefs have 3 terrible ones, or 2 terrible ones, 1 backup player. I get it. That sucks. Colts, none. Cowboys, none. Dolphins have 1 that probably sucks. Eagles, none. Falcons have 1 that really sucks. I don't know if this guy's like a starting rookie or something. 49ers have 1 that probably sucks. Giants have 1. Just had 1 from week 1. Probably stinks. Jaguars have 1, but Deontay Hightower, he's getting older. Jets, none. Lions, none. Packers, none. Panthers, none. Patriots, none. Raiders. He had a couple that sucked, right? Rams, none. Ravens, none. Washington football team, none. It sucks. I don't think that's a lot of injuries. No, I know that, Bloop. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't really know what to say that, so I'll just kind of keep moving on. And yeah, people totally are gifted at complaining, period. Yeah, I mean, you can probably prove me wrong, Rob, but that's just my feelings from playing a ton with it on 50 and 48 and right in there. Probably going to raise it up to 19. Just to get a few more injuries than what we've had in the past. Like, I didn't have 1 last year at all, even having a terrible season. So anyway, now this is starting to get lengthy, and I'm not really getting to the point, but I keep getting sidetracked. So anyway, I decided to go all pro. Let's take out the intensity of all Madden, keep it on comp so that we have consistency of play, and just try to adjust the sliders to make up for how easy All-Pro may be. And so you can see these are the sliders I came up with. This is using my own testing. This is using TFL sliders. And this is using MAT 10 sliders. Just a combination of what I can learn at looking at all of those and kind of deciding where we need to go. And I think this plays pretty good. I mean, again, I think we're going to be here for at least 3 more advances. So up until week 6. So this is going to stay here until week 6. But after that, I'm going to get to the point of the future of what holds for the OMFL. I think getting clearly all Madden was too much. We can't stay all Madden comp mode. That's not going to work. It's either going to be all pro comp mode or it's going to be all Madden sim mode. From what I've been told, Bloops here in the chat, everyone I've talked to from the TFL, the complaint about all pro sim mode is there's no pass rush. We've been there before. I can't have a league that gives all day to throw. The Moes, the D-Moneys, those guys of the world would just continue to win 8, 9, 10 championships in a row, and we have to close that gap. So we got to have pass rush. And looking at their sliders, they were already super low, and I believe when you start getting super low, outside of like a couple of these, like you just really throw things off, and I don't want to do that. And so it's either going to be comp all pro, take out the intensity of what people hated. Here's the other thing. Let me just say this. Most of you don't care. Most of you will play with whatever we decide. Most of you are not even active in chat and don't care. I don't hear from you. I don't get DMs from you. I don't hear a lot from you. Whatever. It is what it is. The vocal minority, though, makes my life a living hell. And at 41 years old and 20 years into this place and building this community with a lot of help and a lot of really awesome people, I don't have it in me, right? And so it's like we either got to figure this out, or I don't even want to say it because it's not a threat. It's not something that's either going to be put on the table or taken off the table to emotionally control people. I'm not. That's not who I am, and that's not even what I want to represent. I am pastoring a church. I am a national director of trainer running a team all across the country that is growing. I do this for you guys because I enjoy creating this place. And when it's no more fun and I got to take all the bullets and hear all the complaints, I'll go do something else. I just will. It'll be cheaper. I won't have to freaking pay for this crazy internet. I won't have to freaking buy all this expensive equipment that comes out of my pocket or buy this game every year, right? Like it is what it is. As I've told people who aren't happy here, it's like, if you're not that happy, bro, don't do something you don't enjoy. Don't stay here because we have a podcast or we have a lot of cool people. Like, other places have cool people. Go play somewhere where you'll have fun. My God, like, don't come give me 2 paragraphs of whining, or that's not fair. That's petty of me. 2 pages of your concerns and end them with how great all the other places you play are, and this is the only place that struggles with this, and you're just staying because you think the place is awesome, but you hate it, and that doesn't. I don't like being controlled like that, and honestly, I just stopped reading those things, and I'm just like, I don't even know how to respond to this. I really don't, and so. After everything, after hearing everybody's feedback all weekend, all week, or since the draft, after seeing these scores, after seeing kind of the test league and where we are, that's kind of where I settled. If you come look at the test league, I don't think I announced this, but I'm announcing it here. I've moved the test league over to sim mode. So the test league is on sim mode, all Madden, which is where we were before this season, which I have to openly admit, that vocal minority was quieter than this vocal minority. 2 totally different groups of people, but definitely different. So this is kind of where I settled after, again, everything we went through last season, or the first 2 seasons, looking at TFL, looking at the Deuce, looking at Mat 10s, knowing what I've messed with. This is where I'm going to settle for some all Madden sliders, and I'm open to feedback, but I think this will dumb down the crazy defensive reactions that we see in defensive coverage. Hopefully these numbers will be low enough to get more knockdowns than interceptions, and then 50s across the board should just make it an open game. I'm interested to see run block and tackling, see if those 2 don't get adjusted a little bit. This is where my kick sliders are going to be no matter where we go. I moved these back to 50 because guys with bad internet, I think I watched Outlaw shank 6 kicks in a row. I mean, could make a kick. So let's put it on 50 to make accuracy as easy as we can for them, and just lower this enough so that people aren't kicking 65-yarders. This will fall on 19. These 2 come straight from Mat 10. I trust his videos, his homework, his interactions. This is the part that I'm super interested in. Is this also comes off of Mat 10, these penalty sliders, how they affect gameplay, how they affect how players interact with each other. But on sim mode, I'm interested to try it and see, are you getting a holding call or whatever every other play? And if that's so, then we'll have to relook at these. But his idea is that this buffs pass rush just a little bit, right? Having that high holding call means players will hold on a little bit longer because they won't get called. So maybe a higher number. No, I feel like I've got this backwards. I have to go read. You can go read Mat 10 stuff. He says that he's got these numbers because of the interaction between D-line and offensive line. And this number here, he's got many videos on it. I believe in it. Pass rush all the way to 5. The players don't play off to not get a penalty. They get in their face. They flow with the player a whole lot, the receiver a whole lot more, and it gets away from what we see with slants and drags, which is one of the bigger complaints that we have here, where guys break in a slant or a drag, and the cornerback doesn't react for like 5 or 6 yards, and you're giving up 10 yards of play. So, test league, all Madden, sim mode. Go test it. Go play with it. Give me your idea, your feedback. There's the word I'm looking for. Tell me what you think. I've also got play cooldown on 3, play limit to 6. I've gotten various feedback from the handful of people that have tested this. 5 and 7, one guy said didn't affect him at all. He didn't come close, which is a good thing. And 3 and 3, no, it was 3 and 5 was too intense. And so we'll go in between for how many times you can call a specific play and how many plays you have to call before you can come back to that play. So every 4 plays, you can rerun a play, and you can only call a specific play every 6 times. So that is where we are. And here is what's going to happen. 3 advances. It's week 3. At week 6, I will put up a vote. Because Lord knows, the democratic way of handling things just has worked so well for us in America. Which is another thing I wanted to say at the very start. Like, this has been a crazy week for a lot of us, whether you're totally into politics or not. I'm not. But like, I can fully understand. It's just been a crazy emotional week in a lot of different ways. COVID numbers are spiking. We're coming out of the holidays. It is like a lot of people are going through a lot of things. And I try to, like, I think a lot of that bleeds into some of the responses that we get here. Ross was taking shots at me. At least it felt like a shot, saying that we don't do polls in MFO, and we don't, because they don't work. I've yet to see a poll where you're like, oh, clearly this is the answer. It doesn't stop people who didn't vote one way or the other from just making life miserable for me and a lot of other people, and making sure they're super vocal, because at the end of the day, guys, don't just like, if you don't enjoy something, just bow out and go do something else. That's not how it goes here. You get like subliminal messages, underhanded messages, passive-aggressive messages, Penguin's favorite word, or GIF, I should say, for 6 weeks. And then finally somebody has enough and they leave, or changes happen because Nate gets tired of hearing it all the time. So on week 6, I'll put up a vote. I'll blast it out to everybody, and you'll vote. Test League, All Madden Sim mode, or Comp All Pro mode. And by then, you'll have 3 weeks of Comp All Pro, and you'll have 3 advances worth of time to go and get a half in the Test League, or get a whole game in and see how it feels. Here's the other 2 points that I'll make. I'll connect the 2 points, but here's why I don't enjoy All Pro. I feel like it buffers the user skill level, and we already do that a lot in the OMFL, and I think Madden itself already does that a lot. Good ways, with change of the direction and like all these other little things that they put in, like the buffered blitz, where you try to blitz, nano blitz detection or whatever, right? Some of those things are annoying, but they've done things to kind of buffer the user control. When I play All Pro, my feelings, this isn't science. I'm not trying to, everybody wants me to prove something or debate. I don't debate. Like, this is how I feel. You'll tell me how you feel. But at the end of the day, you don't get to make decisions. If you want to make decisions, you totally can. Like, I don't take that off the table. I'm not saying this from a hierarchy or that I'm better or any of that stuff. Like, I'm an idiot for doing this most of the time. Like, very few people would put up with doing this for fun. So this isn't coming from like, I'm a freaking servant. I'm an idiot. I just enjoy creating this place for you guys, and I enjoy what we've got. And every time I think about it's time to walk away, I get a message from like one guy who's like, this is the only reason I play. I love this place. It helps me, whatever. Or I think about talking about the OMFL in past tense, and it just feels sad and it sucks. But with that said, I don't have to talk you into anything, but I get to make decisions here. Like, and if you want to make decisions, then you can be like Bloop and go start your own league, right? And And then you're like, bloop, when he's sick of whatever me or my decisions or what I'm doing, he's just like, deuces, I'm going to go play in my league where I make my decisions, right? And the thing is, Bloop isn't that kind of person, at least I don't think he is. And I think we have a good relationship. And so anyway, going back to, I feel like on All Pro, my personal view is it buffers. And I could show you plays from my last stream, but I just feel like that's, I don't know. I just feel it's petty. Like, you can go watch the last stream if you want to. You could be in a position to make a play and your player does not respond to what you're trying to do with the control. It's like it's delayed or buffered or dumbed down, and the user skill gap on All Pro is small. And I know some would argue, well, that's what you want. You want your top players to come down and be more equal to your bottom players. But I don't think that's true. I think what I want is my top players to be challenged and my bottom players to come up. And so we all kind of move up. I don't want to hit my mic here, but we all kind of move up the ladder here and get better at our skill. And it feels good then when you win and when you earn a playoff run or a championship in your division. And so that's actually what I'm aiming for. And I feel like All Pro brings down the top, but doesn't bring up the bottom. And it just feels like you're calling plays, which is an element of strategy and a part that I love here in the OMFL, but it's just timing after that. And it feels like players matter a little bit less. Maybe that's not 100% true either. I don't know how I fall on All Pro and like ratings for this Madden, but I do feel like, and again, I'll go, Oh, I was freaking out for a second here. I was like, why are the Saints playing the Steelers? Did I hit advance? Holy cow, my freaking stomach just went into my throat because, boy, I really would have had to shut it down after tonight. But you can go look at the stats. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess technically by the stats, I won the game. I put up 326 yards passing. I lost Kamara for the game after the first drive, but he was averaging 4.5 yards a carry. My backup averaged 6.5. My second backup averaged 7.3. Whatever. I'm not complaining about how my stats and if I can win or not. This has never been about my stats or if I can win or not. It's about creating a fun experience. And for me, this is not an enjoyable experience. It's a manageable experience. Like I wouldn't get to a point on Comp All Pro where I'm like, I can't take this game and I'm quitting, or we got to change, or I'm retiring. Like I wouldn't do that. I can put up with All Pro Comp. The inconsistency of what we had last season, and I know some are going to tell me it's because I had a 65 overall quarterback, and I get that, but that was just not doable. And that was a lot of the feedback that I was getting is too inconsistent. It's all over the place, and it didn't play consistency. I don't know what that means, Rob, because I didn't count them, so maybe I'm talking out of turn, but the test league has the same restrictions that we have, if not less, and it's been advanced through several seasons, so those restrictions should be working to where there's not 300 ability guys in the test league. And I know it's not exactly the same, but I don't know that it's as big of a gap as you have, and I have talked at least what I think you believe that gap is between OMFL and the test league. So that's what we're going to do. Week 6. So 1, 2 more, 3 more advances. I'll put up a poll. The league will vote. If it's 50-50, we'll stay calm. If it's not, it's heavy one way or the other. We'll switch those sliders, and then we're done. We're not arguing about sliders anymore. We'll adjust if updates totally whack things out. But it will be the game that we go with, and then people can decide, I can put up with that, or I got to go do something else. And Bloop, I don't know why your message got deleted. I have no clue. Again, it does some weird. I think it's the length. I think that's what it is. You guys can't have long messages or you get timed out. And I don't have really a lot of control. I can't even think. I'm not quite following. This is the part of like lost in translation. I'm not quite following your thought process of Madden 20 and 21 to me are not even the same game. Like they don't even play the same. So if you're saying what our sliders at the end of Madden 20 felt like in Madden 21 without all the crazy players like we had in Madden 20, yeah, I don't know. So anyway, again, comp mode. Bloop had said, let me just read it. I think giving guys who aren't as good passing a chance to pass with these sliders is a good thing. You can build off of that if you want to give everyone a chance to improve, in my opinion. Yes, I was going to do something, but I know that'll be taken as a shot because it might actually be, even though I don't want it to be. There's some players here that don't even try. And they want to go tell me how great all their other leagues are and how terrible the OMFL is, and then I'll watch their game, and they're not even, like, clearly they're not making any reads. There's no strategy. They're really just like, how far can I chunk this ball and hit a big play? And then want to use that as a way to say what's good or not good. And I take all of that with a little bit of a grain of salt because you got to try. And so, yes, I want to create a skill level, but I don't want to just bring down the top guys without forcing the bottom guys to put forth some effort. And if you don't want to put forth effort, that's totally fine. You can be a lower tier player, have a high draft pick, do what you got to do. So anyway, that's where we are. And again, here's my disclaimer for my next statement because I've been chewing on this all night. This is not a threat. This is just where I am as a human, and I have a right to that. I make no promises after Madden 21. And so if you are in a stage of like, because I've had that already, like, tell me now if I'm not coming back as an owner, I'm not buying a PlayStation 5 or not buying Madden, whatever, if I'm not coming back. I make no promises to the OMFL's future after Madden 21. I promise you we'll be here for this Madden. I started it. We'll finish it. Come May, June, we'll start to make some decisions about the future of our league and community as a whole. And we'll just kind of see where we are. And if things are going well, then we'll come out for another year. And we'll keep rolling. If not, then maybe it'll be time for everybody to go back to doing what they were doing before I was around. Because somebody will run leagues. Even though I will say, I think Madden 21 was a step in the wrong direction for CFM. I think that massive enjoyment level gap, as I kind of call it, between what some players enjoy and what some other players has grown so big. It's literally impossible to get all of you to be happy. I kind of know that. I know that not everyone here is going to be happy with whatever decision we go or whatever settings and sliders that we go with. And that kind of sucks, but it's also kind of part of it. But that divide is becoming great. Like, I won't be shocked if we do a vote and it falls close to 50-50. If people are voting honestly, not about what they think people want or they think I want, because I don't care. I really don't care. And I've decided tonight that, like, that's why I put the All Madden right back up. I'll put All Pro on Sim Up if that's what people want. Somebody's got to come with me with a set of sliders, because I know Bloop has said that the TFL plays great, and people, like I've heard Rob tell me, they have fun there. But we can't have a league with wide open passing lanes and no pass rush. I personally don't want that here. It'd be terrible, man. And D-Money will rattle off another freaking 10 in a row. And to just take the enjoyment out of it. And so if somebody can make a case to say, go sim all pro and test this, I'll gladly do it. I have no freaking stake in the ground about any of this. I don't care. I just want to find something that most of us find fun. The 4, 3, 2 people who don't have fun, I can deal with that, and we can have a conversation. Let's go find something that is fun for you. And there's 5 other leagues here. Go see if one of them work. Or I can just kind of choose to ignore it, right? But right now, it just feels like the vocal 6 or 7 of you are so vocal. It's caused me to say no promises for the OMFL after Madden 21. We will finish Madden 21, and then when we get in May, I'll start to make decisions about, are we going to go ahead and do like the NBL and close the doors and go find something else to do with our time and money, or are we going to keep on trucking? So that's where I am. And I know where a lot of you are, but at least you can understand what I'm thinking and make your decisions based off of that. The current franchise is comp, and it's on comp because I believe comp is more consistent. Players play closer to their ratings. I find it a much more consistent, enjoyable, fast-paced, flowing game. We're on All Pro to take the intensity, I don't know why I can't say that word, intensity of All Madden out of it, because it was really hard, and some of us didn't want really hard. The stats back up that it was really hard. So it will be easier. Reads are easier. You don't pay for mistakes as often. And for those of you who are really good users, it's dumbed down. I just hate to say it. On All Madden, I loved how it felt, because if you were a good user and you put yourself in position to make a play, you could make a play, and it felt good to be rewarded for the right call, for the right positioning, the right player, and making the right play. The play that comes to mind for me was a game against the Eagles this week. I was playing middle linebacker, and he had a tight end that came and sat right in front of me, and I just wanted to take 2 steps, stand in front of the guy, and make the play. Like he was late on the read, he was standing in front of me, I was there in position. On All Madden, I make that play. The guy responds quickly, you step up too quickly, but you were rewarded for making a good decision as a defensive user and making the quarterback pay for a bad decision. And on All Pro, my guy did this weird, like, buffer type thing where he didn't move, and the guy caught the pass. When he finally did move, I ran past the player. The player rolls up and gets a 10, 15-yard gain or whatever. That's just the sacrifice that you make on All Pro. But if the TFL is as fun as everybody says it is, and I believe that it is, then if the complaint was pass rush, which I've been told by Bloop and Rob, those are 2 that come to mind, pass rush is the issue with All Pro sliders in the TFL, this fixes it. All Pro comp has pass rush, and everything else should play consistent and should, I mean, I don't play in the TFL, so Bloop, you'll have to play and let me know, but the sliders are pretty close to the same. It should play, it's pretty close to the TFL. And for those of you who are saying the deuce is a ton of fun and you really like sim mode, because I would argue, I think some people are just so vilely against this just because it says comp. And just in their head, comp equals MUT or lobby or tournament games. And so just in their mind, it's wrong and flawed, and no sim league, which is a completely made up term and not even what we're doing. That's why we don't use sim language. Because if we were simulating what we see on Sundays, you could go forward and fourth anytime you want. You could, no, I mean your regular game, Blue, like the game in the OMFL, that should play, in my head, close to the TFL. Again, I don't play in the TFL, you'll have to tell me. The test league's all Madden, so I don't think it'll play like the TFL. I have no clue, though. But if we were simulating what we've seen on Mondays, you find a play that works, you could run that play 100 times. Because in the NFL, if you can't stop one or two plays, you're going to see one or two plays until you decide to stop them. We're not doing that. We're trying to create fair play. And in my opinion, these two settings get us there. I'm open. I will say this again. If you have a good set of all-pro sim slider settings that you want to test, I will gladly put them in test. We will do up to week 6. We'll put up the vote. We'll make a decision. I'll put all-pro sim in the test league, and we'll test our little heart's desire for the rest of the season and then put up a vote and see which way they want to go there. I have no stake in the ground. I don't care. And so I want people either to be happy, and if we can't get there, then I'm going to go find something else to do because it's not worth the anxiety, the pressure, the stress, the unkind shots that people take at people, and just all of that stuff. Yeah, it sucks, Rob, but kind of is what it is. So I hope I'm making sense. I've been totally honest and open and transparent. This is how I am, who I am. This is what I'm feeling. Chat in the OMFL has started to affect like real life. Like even my wife was like, man, you've been like dealing with stuff a lot. And so I've just kind of made the decision, no promises after Madden 21. We're going to have to really Bloop. You keep writing these long messages, Bloop. You can't write long messages, Bloop. Short statements. And it's like that because bots will break into your chat and start writing tons of long stuff, blow up the chat, and so you have to have this on, or you can really, come on, Bloop. Rob told you, 200 characters. My elite receivers were making plays. Good cornerbacks made good plays. Where I was weak, I was eaten up. Middle linebacker went out, and I struggled to slow the run and cover the tight end. Yeah, that's the one concerning thing that I've seen. And then we'll do mailbag and get out of here because this has been way too long as I cry to myself over here. Big tight end numbers. 14 for 316, 11 for 215, 13 for 212, 11 for 204. We're seeing some big tight end numbers, 13 for 176. I'm not saying that this is, okay, because I know how y'all think. I'm not saying it's wrong. I have no problem with it, but part of me is like, why are we seeing big tight end numbers? And was it because of all Madden and people just knew the tight end would be open and they're going to the tight end? And for those of you that hate the ball going to the tight end a lot, because I seen like one game where it was like, 200 yards to the tight end. I could be wrong, but I thought that's what I seen when I was looking at the stats. It's like, learn how to play linebacker and go cover the tight end. It's a pretty easy solution. And there's got to be that kind of give and take because I get eaten up by tight ends too. And you got to figure out a new game plan. As it should be. The NFL has to worry about tight ends. Go ask anybody that plays the Kansas City Chiefs or the New Orleans Saints or any of these really top tight ends. All right, let's get over here and what are we doing? We're going to look at the mailbag. Let's go look at the mailbag. Guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to turn the mailbag on. But it'll take me 1 second. At least I thought it would. Where's my mailbag? Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah, I can even, not that any of you care, but I can show you the sliders and kind of how I've been figuring it out. All right, let's get over here. Voila. Sorry about that. I got to rework this to make it better. Yeah, Rob, right? Like that's the kind of the give and take of building one of those teams. I think we had one really good question. Unless somebody went in recently, we'll hit a refresh real quick. While that's refreshing, here's the sliders. I'm trying to see what y'all can or can't see. So up here, we're Matt 10's All Madden, the OMFL All Madden before we swapped to comp, TFL All Pro, Matt 10's All Pro, and then what's his name? Maniac sent me the All Madden sim settings for the Deuce. And so these were 2 slider sets that I came up with, both for All Pro comp and All Madden comp. I still believe comp's the way to go. But again, got no stake in the ground. I'll play whatever as long as people are happy. And so what you see, these numbers right here on the outside were the only differences for the Deuce and mine. And so what you see here in the middle is what I have put into the test league. So you can see kind of what I've been thinking, and that a lot of work has gone into this. A lot of homework is going into this, and I'm not just flying by the seat of my pants. And for those of you who say, because I know you're out there, we need to suck it up, and we need to not make any changes during the season, I'm sorry. That's just not reality. And for me, it's not reality. We got to make changes to make it an enjoyable gameplay. And when you don't have preseason, you guys want to blow through an offseason and play games that matter, this is what happens. You don't want to go test because you're in 50 leagues. This is the way we got to do it. So either I won't make any changes during the season and we go back to playing all 4 preseason games, like schedule, play them, get feedback, look at stats, or we got to do it this way. All right, let's look at snipers questions, and I appreciate snipers so much. I don't know. I have an appreciation for people who treat others really well, and some of us struggle, including me. Sometimes I've been a jerk, and I haven't been nice to people, and I have worked on myself tremendously since I started this place. And sometimes I have a bad day, and sometimes I act like I shouldn't be. I apologize, and I always own them. And I don't think many of you out there can say I haven't owned my part of it, apologized, and just kind of moved on. So now that I'm off of that rant, let's move over here. He says, if you were to break it down in percentages, what percentage of the league users, defensive end, linebacker, safety, cornerback, best guesses? I have no clue. I'd say most linebacker, safety, and float between those two. I think a handful of guys who really like All Pro. All Pro doesn't let you, in my opinion, take that what it's worth. You can totally think I'm off and goofy here. That's your right. I think All Pro dumbs down usering, which means it's not something that you can actually start to do and grow your skill on All Pro all that much. I think that the gap of skill growth on All Pro when using on defense is very, very small because of the way it plays. And I believe that some guys who aren't great users like All Pro because their team plays better, it's easier, I don't have to concentrate as hard or make better reads, those guys will play defensive end. I believe we have a couple of guys here that just refuse to not play defensive end, and the board won't let me ban it, and I have to allow it. But it's super cheap in my head. Not that person's cheap. I just think it's a cheap, easy thing to do. It takes no skill level. It was my only complaint about my game against Maniac this past week, and he said it to me. He didn't enjoy it because he had this bull rush or break line or whatever that stupid ability is. I don't have these things memorized, where it took no skill, no energy, no effort, no strategy, no play calling. If it was 3rd and 3 or less, his guy was coming through the line. 2nd and 3 and less, his guy's coming through the line. Like every time he was in the backfield, blowing up a run or sacking my quarterback. And there was just no skill in it, right? There was no strategy in it. I believe using defensive ends the same way. It's just how quickly can you press buttons? And I get that Madden put in a new system. I think it's the exact same thing. So I think that number's probably closer to 10% defensive end full time. I believe some guys will dabble at defensive end. If you've been defensive end in me all game and I've got a third and long to win a game, good chance I'm going to at least think about grabbing the defensive end because you've been doing it to me. I'd say probably, I don't know, I'd love to hear what Chad thinks. 65%, 75%, 65, 70, play linebacker. The other 20, 25, play corner or DB, safety or cornerback. I believe a lot of guys, though, float. I think the top tier players here float, keep you guessing. You're not really quite sure where to go. And they cover up their weak areas with whatever defense they've called, because every defense has an area where you can attack it. I believe the really great coaches here will use a player to take care of that weakness. Any coach stand out as the best at using at each position? That's a good question. It's just because of my experience. I don't have a lot of defensive end users that I play, but I hear Bill's really good at it, and I played him, and he tore me up a lot with the defensive end. He's got that pretty good. Linebackering, that's a tough one. Again, I don't know. D Money's really good, but again, he floats a lot. He'll play safety a lot. Mo, who else is out there? Dwayne, Maniac is pretty far up there. You can only really talk about the guys that you play, and there's so many guys here I don't play. So I think that one's a bit tougher. DB, again, it's from experience. It's D Money, but again, it's just because on All Pro. Here's another thing I hate. If you bite, that was oh God, I'm having flashbacks. You would get D Money to play safety, and he would bite on a play and on a play action and be 10 yards out of position. And you would throw the fly route or a post route or something deep over his head, and he'd be able to turn, recover, and pick you off. D-Money does that. Not D-Money. All-Pro allows that, and it's one of the things that I absolutely hate about All-Pro, not D-Money, about All-Pro. D-Money's name is stuck in my head. Brady was super good before we banned roaming, and you couldn't, cover 85% of the field with a 95 speed linebacker. And Jason's up there with cornerback. All Madden, it was great to see, you could see he's such a good user at cornerback, why he dominated here. I think this Madden has kind of taken that away, and we'll see. But hopefully Jason's got his fire back. Any best practices out there for overall using tips? Don't use speed burst. I think that's a big one. Only use it when you have a straight line, like a straight direction to go. You were burnt. You need a straight line. Go get it. It's a handoff in the hole, and he's in the hole, and you're beelining. That's the only time you use the speed burst. I think outside of that, not using it gives you that opportunity to be ready for a juke or a change of direction. What a lot of guys will do here is they'll have an initial hole. They'll get you to come up as a user, and as soon as you declare where you're going, they'll pick a secondary hole, or they'll bounce it outside or something like that. I think this is a pretty common practice that you'll see here. So try to take that away as much as possible. You'll see on stretch plays, I'll do it too. You'll stretch it out, and if you overplay and go to the outside, sideline, I'll cut it up on you. If you cut it in to take away the initial hole that's right there close, I'll cut it outside, right? And so guys will do that. So you just try to hover in the middle as much as you can until they declare, and then you can go make a play. And then, in my opinion, conservative tackle is big. I love that on all Madden comp mode too. It's if you conservative tackled, you were rewarded for that, and if you didn't, you paid that price. And I'll keep making the case. All Madden, it needed to be dumbed down. I'm not saying it didn't. All Madden, if I would have had another 3 weeks with it, 3 advances, we could have dumbed it down enough on comp mode. Super fun experience, in my opinion. I had a blast. So those are my tips. Chat, please let our guy know any tips or tricks that you may have. Let's put a bow on this thing, man. Let's get on out of here. All right. It is late. It's 11:30, and I got a long day of work tomorrow. So for those of you, here's my disclaimer. I want to get to a place where none of us need to be defended, if that makes sense. Like where we just all kind of take care of each other. And I know 32 guys from all over the world, different life stances, values, visions, morals. Maybe that's not a good word to use either, but just like different perspectives on stuff. You know, some of us are more graceful or merciful than others, I guess is the way I'm trying to say it. But for those of you guys that had my back when chat felt like it started to get ugly, I appreciate you. But I hope that people hear my pure motives of what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to create a space where it's like the NFL, where any team can win at any given moment, where those teams that are always low have a feeling that if they build right and they play right and they make a few changes, they can compete. And we don't have, it is a bad thing that D-Money has won as many straight championships here as he has. And if Penguins, goes on a run and runs off 8 in a row, it would not be good for him either. It's not personal to D-Money. I don't think it's great that Dwayne goes almost undefeated every season or loses 2 games and wins his division every season. Like, we got to figure out a settings where everybody feels like they have a chance to win, an opportunity to win, and it really comes down to your play call, your team building as compared to others. So that's my motives. That's where I'm going with it. For those of you who think comp is of the devil, I just think in my opinion, that's not a right perspective. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it plays really consistent, true to the ratings, and it is the most fun that I personally have had in the last 2 Maddens. That all Madden comp was fun. Like, I enjoyed playing the test games. But I do get, it isn't fun to see our numbers. It isn't fun to see those high interceptions. They got to come down. But guess what, friends? All Madden Sim, we had 50s and 60 interceptions. Crazy, stupid, unrealistic numbers. So those need to come down too. So we'll see. Maybe All-Pro will get us there. They'll get us at the interception, completion percentage numbers that we want. They'll get the pass rush that I've been told other All-Pro settings lack. And we'll get a few more injuries to deal with and find a more consistent gameplay that guys can get used to. So one more time, it's week 3. On week 6, as soon as we advance to week 6, I will put up a poll and message everyone. You will vote All-Pro Comp, All Madden Sim, or if in that time, folks can get me a set of All-Pro Sim that you want to test, that you think there's a reason, make your case to me. We can even put that third option in there, and we'll vote. The test league is set to All Madden Sim. Go play it. You've got 3 advances to play as many games as you can. I'll advance that thing to keep it going. Give me your feedback of what changes need to go there. Telling me it felt good just tells me it's perfect. Don't touch it. So I need to know, hey, pass rush felt heavy. Pass rush felt like it lacked, or no receivers were open. I could only hit my tight end, or there was no rushing lanes. Like, I need that type of feedback so I know what exactly to make changes to. All right. Chat, be nicer to everybody here. We have a saying here in New Orleans. You'll see it on signs and art. Be nice or leave. It's just really, that's kind of my motto. Be nice or go find somewhere where you can be nice. And if you're that miserable, then I'm sorry, and I'm trying to make it a fun experience, but let's find something that is fun for you. It isn't, for me personally, it isn't helpful. It's the opposite of helpful when people tell me how fun their other 932 leagues they play in are and how bad the OMFL is. And then you kind of end it with a pseudo compliment, but I'm staying because I love the OMFL. Like, it doesn't really help me. And, these little petty things that go on in chat, even if they're not petty, they're framed to be petty, if that makes sense. And I just think all of us, me, uno, numero uno. No, I'm one. I gotta not allow my passions to get mixed with emotions and just make people feel like I'm not listening to them, because I am listening to you. And I'm also trying to take in what you're saying, whether it's being framed in the right way or not, and make the best decisions. And another life motto is, you can do the right thing the wrong way, it's still the wrong thing. It just is. And so if you want to do the right thing, you got to frame it the right way to have the right conversation. And that's really the only way. Yeah, it is what it is, Brady. And my hope is that we don't shut this place down. But at 41, man, I'm not 24 like I was when I started it. And even then, I had to stop being commissioned 3 or 4 times for this exact thing. Like 3 or 4 people just drove me to a place where this place was terrible. And I didn't feel like the board had my back. I didn't feel like anybody had my back. And I was like, yo, I'm out. And I'll just play here. And after... Well, we've been back now for 3 or 4 years. We're back to at 41. I don't know if I've got the patience to continue to eat caca from people. And then we cover it up. Well, it's my opinion. That's, God, I maybe people mean it, but it doesn't come off that way. It just feels like a cover up. Like somebody else said in chat, and somebody else called them out before I could. When you're about to say, I don't mean to offend, but, or not to be offensive, but you about to say some offensive stuff. You about to get somebody in their feelings. You about to say something that ain't framed right. That's exactly what I feel like when people say, well, that's my opinion. And do I not have a right to, come on, man. I treat you as an adult, at least I think I do. And if I don't, come tell me where I didn't treat you like an adult. I'll apologize, man. I will change. I want to treat you all. I say this all the time. You don't owe me to play here. You don't owe me a thing. This place could go away tonight because you all decide to go do something else. I could be here talking to myself. You choose to be here. I will never lose sight of that. I will never lose that I am a janitor of the OMFL. It is my job to serve, to clean up the poo-poo, and to make sure the lights turn on when you flip them on, and they turn off when you flip them off, and your air conditioner works when you turn it on. Like, I am the maintenance man. That is my job, and I'm totally cool with that. But at the same time, the maintenance man doesn't have to deal with poo-poo being thrown at him. Every time he walks down the hall, he can go find another job. And I'm just saying that we got to get to a place where I don't feel like I'm doing this by myself. And for the last 4 or 5 days, it's felt that way, except for a couple of you. As hard of a time as I give Rob, because I feel like he's my antagonist. Like, what's Nate think? I'm going to do I'm going to support the opposite. That's how I feel sometimes with Rob. I felt your support, Rob, so I appreciate that. And Brady too. Brady sent me a message and even said stuff in chat. But again, I don't want sides. This isn't nobody versus me. And this isn't Nate jacking things up. Like, I don't want this, dude. I don't. I want to be playing PUBG, not test games. I want to be doing my PUBG, my Madden streams, and my podcasts, and my Saints and Sinners, and having fun and making content. And I want happy owners and dealing with the bad FPR issue from here and there. Like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to be jacking up your sliders. I don't want to be freaking messing with settings. just two great divides about settings, and we got to figure it out. So that's where we're at. DM me if you got feedback. I can just tell you now, if you got long feedback, save it for a couple of days, because I'm just not in a great headspace for long feedback. I'm tired, and it's 11:36. I got a long day of training tomorrow and church stuff, and so I need to go get in bed. And hopefully we'll bring back some of my other, we'll bring back my other streams. I hope that you've enjoyed those too. I put a lot of work into creating a visual experience and hopefully an engaging experience where I can just kind of keep being who I am and creating a space where you guys enjoy watching the streams, because that's why I do it. I've put a lot of energy in learning how to do this and the equipment needed. And like, if you could see a picture, there's like 3 lights around me as a camera that I'm going to upgrade soon. This year, this is the year I get a real camera, not this webcam. And there's some other equipment coming in this week to help me out. But yeah. And another thing that you'll see with these streams, none of this is bad. I'm not upset at anybody. I'm not mad at anybody. There's no hard feelings. Everybody's trying to get to the same goal line. Just, I think sometimes that goal lines are an incident. I can't even talk. Those goal lines are at opposite ends of the field. And I got to figure out how to get most of us moving in the same direction. And those who just don't want to, that's their choice, and they'll get to move on. So, again, one of the other things you'll see a lot in all my streams that I'm going to start doing either at the beginning or the end, depending on kind of Press Pass Live or whatever I'm doing, is just sharing a quick little thought from my spiritual side. Such an important piece of who I am. I'm a pastor. I feel like my ultimate purpose, and this is why the GrownFolks community exists. It's why the OMFL exists. It's not because it's fun. It ain't because I'm making money on it. It ain't because it's just such a joy to do all this work. It's because I believe, again, my personal purpose on this planet is to help people experience the best relationships possible in their lives. And my other, is the ultimate relationship being with a relationship with Christ Jesus, and in a real way, not a religious way, not in a perfunctory way, but like a real life way, the way I think he wants to be experienced. And one of the thoughts that I shared today is just a really great thought that, if you're into this kind of stuff, if you're interested into it, go check it out. But it's just this idea of the power of our mind and pulling out that Christian biblical concept and kind of applying it to life, whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, or whether you're into that stuff or not into that stuff. Is like the power of our minds is so important. I talked about it on my last stream of just like it kind of the world that's inside of you will create the world outside of you. And I think that's a lot of the misconceptions or the miscommunications that we've had in our league. Is some of us are going through heavy stuff right now, and other people don't know it, right? Somebody told me this week they lost their job, and it sucks, man. And people are dealing with COVID or sick family members. I just found today that someone that is very dear to my family, we consider them a family member, is on hospice. And so some of these inner turmoils, and even so long-term stuff of generational curses and family curses that I believe are super real. Whether you believe in God or spiritual stuff, generational curses follow people and families, all because of the power of labels and things that people have said that stick in your mind. And so the power of your mind is so powerful. Even when you think about sports, there's really cool research out there that shows when kids, Brady, I know you do this, right? When adults or kids, humans are playing a sport and they're in a positive environment where the coaching is positive, the environment's positive, they can see more of the field. It's a true home field advantage. Like when the atmosphere is positive, my peripheral vision expands and I can see more of what's taking place. And I think in a lot of our lives, we would see new opportunities, new relationships, and expansion and growth in who we are as a person if we would just change our mind. And a lot of that gets into what are we putting in, what are we listening to, what are we watching. I don't do a lot of news. I don't do a lot of social media. I just stay away from those things because junk in, junk out. And if I allow that junk to change who I am on the inside, it'll change my world on the outside. And that is a constant battle and a constant progress that takes place. The mind's a garden. And just like any garden, we have a garden in front of our house. I hate the thing, but it's pretty, and you got to have a garden, and the mind's a garden. And that means even if I pull weeds yesterday, new weeds grow up, and you got to get out there and you got to get those weeds out. And so find those areas in your life where you're not thinking positive about yourself or your family or your mate or your situation, and start to pluck those things out, throw them out. I bet you your mad game would get better. I bet your profession would get better. I bet your relationships would get better. And ultimately, I think it opens up a door, if you don't have a relationship with Christ, to have one with him. If you have a very religious one, like it's a very structured religious thing, I think he'll begin to expose who he really is outside of man-made religion to you. And if you have a relationship with him that isn't religious, then I believe you just get more intimacy and you go deeper in him. And it's kind of part of my goal this year. So I hope that blesses you. Hope that blesses somebody. I hope that you've enjoyed the show. Tonight was boring. I promise you next week, we'll get right back to doing the plain Jane stuff. We're going to talk stats. But Brady kind of did all the stats and leaders. But we'll get back to normal stuff next week. I just felt like this is one thing that we had to approach. We had to talk about. I'll make sure to share this with everybody with some of the bullet points, because this is an hour and a half show. Not everybody wants almost a 2-hour show. All right, we got to go. I love you guys. I really do. As a real thing, I really mean it when I say it. I feel your support and love from those of you. And just the fact that you play here means that we've created something. Even if you don't like me or you don't like what I'm doing, we've created something here that does speak to you. And I hope that you find your place of enjoyment and safety here, because that's why I do all this work. All right, fam. Love you. Enjoy your week. And until next Sunday, we'll be back with you, hopefully, with let me say that now. I'll be back next Sunday. I'll probably be back next Saturday night. We're going to do the show next Saturday night because Saints play next Sunday night. And I ain't doing a Press Pass live at midnight, and I ain't missing a Saints game for Press Pass live. So next Saturday night, we'll come back to you with Press Pass live. It'll be regular, but enjoy your week. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you. God bless. Peace.
All right, what's good, everybody, man? It's your boy Brady Sr., man, giving you the OMFL News After Dark. And let me tell you, there's some stuff going on in the world. The new saying is the vanilla ISIS was on attack. But let's keep it straight gaming. Man, there's a lot of drama going on in the league with the new sliders, the new settings. Oh, man, we gonna dive right in. I might have to get in my Pat McAfee mode tonight, bruh. Woo! We'll be right back after this, man. Yeah. Yay! What's good, everybody, man? It's your boy Brady Sr. Give you the OMFL news after dark, man. This is what it sounds like in the chat right now. This is what it sounds like in the chat. Oh, man. These boys going off, man. Let me tell you. Going off. But anyway, man, you know, it's another week in the OMFL